What's up? It's the COD God 420, and in today's video we are going to be doing a face-to-face, game-to-game direct comparison XDefiant versus Call of Duty to see which one of these games truly is the better FPS shooter. So after hearing plenty of trash talk from both fan bases, XDefiant and Call of Duty alike, I decided that it was time we took these two FPS games, put them side by side, head to head, and objectively compared them on what makes a good FPS shooter. I'm talking movement, I'm talking sound, I'm talking level design, microtransactions. We are going to take these two FPS shooters down to the bare bones of the FPS genre, and we are going to objectively judge them over 5 rounds to determine which one of these is truly the better FPS shooter. So to start things off, we have round 1, game mechanics. We are going to talk about movement, we are going to talk about shooting / time to kill, and we are going to talk about the total weapon variety in both games. Those are going to be the 3 categories we compare on in round number 1. So to start off with movement, I am going to throw both of the games up on the screen side by side. We're going to look at the movement and we are going to judge them objectively. Now, in my personal opinion, playing and just looking at the games, XDefiant is a lot stickier, in my opinion, than Call of Duty. It does not feel nearly as fluid, or the movement does not feel nearly as, coherent in XDefiant as it does in Call of Duty, in my opinion. There also seems to be a weird momentum change in XDefiant, where if you're coming to the end of a slide, your character just stops, or if you're mantling, your character just stops at the top of the mantle. There's a weird momentum stop there. I don't really know. I don't really like that, in my opinion. I like the fluidity of Call of Duty more. I like the parkour combos you can put together in Call of Duty. And another thing about XDefiant that I'm not a huge fan of is that in Call of Duty, you pretty much have the ability to mantle up things that are your height. You can mantle things that are 10 feet tall. In the mantling thing that I actually have in here, you're jumping onto a storage container. Whereas in XDefiant, it seems like the only mantles in the game are half mantles. It feels like I'm being taken back to Black Ops 2, where it's boots on the ground, old Battlefield, where you really can't mantle up really anything. Whereas in Call of Duty, you can really, now you can jump all the way on top of a storage container. You can jump up way higher into a second story, where in XDefiant, all of the mantling is only halfway up, so the game feels a lot more two-dimensional, in my opinion, when it comes to mantling. And I just feel like Call of Duty has all of the mechanics working together, whereas XDefiant just has all of the mechanics. They're all there, and if you're a good FPS shooter, you definitely can get through slide canceling, mantle jumping, so you don't, you don't have those momentum changes. But if you were new to the game, it's going to feel a whole lot more stickier, and it's not going to feel nearly as fluid as Call of Duty. And another huge issue is the bunny hopping. Now, Call of Duty has fixed it to where if you aim in while hopping, you really can't jump anymore. XDefiant, it is a rampage out there with the bunny hoppers. It is crazy. Also, with sensitivity, Call of Duty's lowest sensitivity is way higher than XDefiant's lowest, and the highest is way higher. So Call of Duty just feels more fluid all around, really, than XDefiant does. And again, these are my personal opinions, so if you personally like XDefiant's movement more, then objectively, you can say that it won that, but I think that personally, Call of Duty wins the movement category overall in my book. Moving on to the second category in round 1, we have shooting / time to kill. So again, I'm going to put these up side by side. You can watch them as many times as you'd like, and we are going to objectively judge the TTK in both of these games. Now, in my opinion, XDefiant feels more like it is a paintball simulator. It feels like every single gun that I pick up in XDefiant is shooting marshmallows. The TTK in XDefiant is painfully slow compared to Call of Duty's, and now I understand that there are a lot of players out there who like the OG Battlefield games. There are a lot of players out there who still play Apex Legends, so there's going to be a large majority of the fan base who prefers a slower TTK, and XDefiant is for you. But in my personal opinion, there is no reason why I should ever be shooting somebody 11, 12, 13 times with a 5.56 and they just walk it off. It feels so unrealistic, which I guess is what I'm looking for when I'm playing an FPS shooter. Because yeah, the arcade style of Apex Legends and the TTK of the Apex Legends and XDefiant, I mean, I just don't feel like I can get into it as much as I do Call of Duty, just because it's so unrealistic. It just doesn't feel real when I put 11 rounds into somebody, but then they turn around with an SMG with 9mm and they erase me. It just feels really weird, and that does happen in Call of Duty, but it feels like it happens so much more frequently in XDefiant, to the point where I'll just turn the game off because it's just so unfair. It's so unrealistic, you know? So again, it's going to be complete personal opinion on this one, on how you feel about the TTK one game to the other. But in my personal opinion, when it comes to the TTK of both of these games, Call of Duty is going to win it for me, just because it feels quicker, it feels funner, it feels like I can get a bigger kill streak going faster, and that's why, in my personal opinion, Call of Duty wins the TTK category. So up next, we have weapon variety. I'm just going to put both of the create a class menus up, and we're going to look at the weapon variety now. Just right off the bat, Modern Warfare 3 has more weapon choices, and I'm not even talking about the Modern Warfare 2 weapons, only the Modern Warfare 3 weapons. But Modern Warfare 3 is really, really unbalanced. There's only about 1 or 2 weapons per category that absolutely dominate, and then everything else is garbage. Where in XDefiant, even though they feel like they're marshmallow shooters, it feels like you can have a decent chance with every single gun you pick up. And in Modern Warfare 3, that just does not feel like it's the case. Modern Warfare 3 is heavy on the metas, and I know XDefiant is going towards metas because that's just how games work, but it feels like the whole game is a lot more balanced, and there isn't as many metas, and it's not nearly as bad as Call of Duty. So when it comes to the third category in round 1, the game mechanics, I am going to have to give weapon variety up to XDefiant, but that still leaves XDefiant with 1 win and Call of Duty with 2. So in my personal opinion, for round 1 game mechanics, XDefiant is going to lose to Call of Duty. Call of Duty is going to come out on top. Now, again, this is just my personal opinion, so you might have a different opinion on who wins this first round, but in my personal opinion and what I'm looking for as an FPS shooter fan, Call of Duty wins. Alright, and that has Call of Duty up with a 1-0 lead heading into round number 2, which is going to be graphics and art style. Now, in this round, we are going to be looking at the guns and reload animations from both games, and we are also going to be just looking at the overall art and sound design from both games. Those are going to be the 2 categories that make up round number 2, so let's get into it. Starting off round 2, we're going to look at the guns and the reload animations from both games. Now, we're going to look at the same guns that we had earlier, and we're going to look at empty reload and partial reload animations. Now, the M4 looks very similar in both games, and I did try to make the games look as similar as possible. I put them both at 110 FOV. I don't know if there's a specific setting that I'm missing in XDefiant that allows you to change your weapon perspective, but it makes the game feel a lot more unrealistic when you can change the perspective around you, but for some reason your weapon just stays compact into your chest. It really does feel like we're going back to 2008, 2009 video games where your eyeballs are not in your head, but it feels like it's from the perspective of a GoPro, or the eyes are like it's jammed in the chest of the character. It doesn't feel very realistic, whereas if you look at the Call of Duty reload animations, you can see almost the character's whole arm up to like mid bicep. You can see way more of the gun. It feels like the character's eyes are actually in the character's head, whereas in XDefiant everything is just compact, it's just in there, you know. I don't know how I really feel about that. Other than that, the reload animations on both games look very good. I have things with XDefiant that I don't like, where, you know, like a partial reload on the LMG takes twice as long as it does to do an empty reload on the LMG, and I don't know if that necessarily makes sense, but that is the case. You can see it right here. You get 2 Call of Duty reloads in before you can do 1 partial reload on the XDefiant, and I don't know if that's a glitch, if there's a problem, but it seems strange. Other than that, I do have to give XDefiant props on the fact that, like, if you mag dump a gun, it starts sizzling, there's some smoke coming off of it. That kind of realism I really do like and I enjoy, and Call of Duty doesn't have that, and I don't know why they don't have that, because it is common knowledge with a firearm that if you shoot a lot of rounds through it, it gets hot. Like, that's, everybody knows that. So I don't know where Call of Duty's missing that. I have to give that one to XDefiant for sure. That's cool animation, and I like it. It adds to the game. Other than that, all of these guns reload animations, I mean, there's nothing glaringly wrong about them, other than that in this animation for the partial reload for the sniper, the character in XDefiant never re-racks the chamber. He just leaves the empty round in it, and then you can shoot it again. I don't know if that's an issue, but again, I don't know if it's a glitch. That's what I saw. Those are my perspectives. Other than that, they both look good as to terms of what they're doing. Again, I might have to give the reload animations and the guns to XDefiant simply because of the animation of the sizzling and the smoke coming off of it. It's just something Call of Duty doesn't have, and it's new, it's cool, I like it. So I might have to end up giving that round to XDefiant. But unfortunately for XDefiant, the narrow victories will end there, in my personal opinion, for round 2, because when it comes to the art style of the two games, I much rather prefer the realistic approach to Modern Warfare 3 than I do the more stylized, cartoony approach to XDefiant. And, you know, again, that's personal opinion, so you might think that XDefiant looks better. It 100% can for you, but I just personally prefer Call of Duty's approach in the last couple of years with trying to make the game look more and more realistic rather than taking a stylized approach. There's nothing wrong with a stylized approach, obviously. You know, a lot of games do. Fortnite, Apex Legends, none of those are, you know, realistic games. XDefiant is a little more realistic, but it definitely is still in the cartoony category. So in my personal opinion, I would have to say that when it comes to the art design, I would have to go with Modern Warfare's realistic art design over XDefiant. And lastly, for round 2, we have sound. So I'm just going to say right off the bat, Modern Warfare 3 wins with the sound design. Everything in XDefiant sounds fucking pathetic. Like, what even is that? Take that sound and now put it next to this M4. Yeah, one of those is a very clear winner, and XDefiant is not that. Let's have another listen. Yeah, that is just, it's so bad. I can't even handle how bad that is. Yeah, no, Call of Duty just wins hands down in every sound. SMG, explosions, everything in XDefiant sounds pathetic. It sounds weak. None of it has power. I just don't like it. It's so unrealistic. Call of Duty wins hands down when it comes to the sound. I mean, listen to that. It's like poof, poof. Call of Duty's has some actual oomph behind it. You can hear that, whereas in XDefiant, is that a 50 caliber? Is that a real 50? Or is Call of Duty's? This is a real 50. I can hear it echoing off the walls, bro. But yeah, no, XDefiant, when it came to sound, they definitely scuffed it. They scuffed it real hard. So I have to give sound and art design to Call of Duty. And even though XDefiant barely won the animations with the, you know, cool sizzling effect, I'm going to have to give round 2 to Call of Duty again. And again, your personal opinion can be 100% different from mine. I'm not trying to say that my opinion is correct, but in my opinion, round 2 graphics and art style is again gonna have to go to Call of Duty over XDefiant. And that leaves Call of Duty with a 2-0 lead heading into round number 3, which is gonna be maps and level design. So we're gonna talk about map variety in both games, and then we're also just gonna talk about the overall level design that they chose to, you know, make in both games. So just start right off the bat with map variety. XDefiant wins hands down with this one. They just have to win because even though the maps are based off of other games and locations that they've had, they're all original, they're all new, they're made for XDefiant, whereas Call of Duty somehow took 16 maps that were really, really fun back in Modern Warfare 2, and they somehow made them worse. I don't know how they made them worse. I don't know if it's the movement or what, but playing Modern Warfare 2, I loved all of the maps, and now I get on Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer, and first of all, I just dread getting on the multiplayer, but then second of all, I'll get maps like Subbase, and I'll literally just quit the lobby because I don't want to play. I don't know what it is, all right? We're going to have to give this one to XDefiant off rip. I mean, the maps do look good too, and there is a good variety of maps as well, so we are going to have to give map variety to XDefiant over Call of Duty because Call of Duty, I don't know if the monetization is just getting to their head, but they definitely lost map variety. Now, we're going to talk about level design. Now, this one is a little more even in my opinion, but we're still going to have to just give round 3 entirely to fucking XDefiant because, again, Call of Duty somehow ruined these good maps. The overall level design of all of the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 maps is good. I like how they're placed. It's just maybe they don't belong in 2024. Maybe the movement for Modern Warfare 3 isn't good for them. I don't know what it is, but they made them so much worse. On top of that, you also have the XDefiant maps that are made for progression, so obviously a lot more effort and attention to detail was put into the maps for XDefiant than they were for Modern Warfare 3, considering that it's literally a copy and paste, but add bugs, I guess. I don't know what they did, but round 3 and pretty much, you know, everything when it comes to maps and level design, we're going to have to go ahead and give it to XDefiant simply for the reasons of recycled maps from Call of Duty and then ruining the recycled maps from Call of Duty. So with the first victory of XDefiant being round number 3, we now have a 2-1 game. We're getting a little more interesting. All right, heading into round number 4, we have game modes and features. Now, I hate to break it to XDefiant fans out there, but XDefiant loses round 4 hands down. All right, Modern Warfare 3 had 7 game modes at launch, plus Ground War, plus Warzone, plus Zombies, and plus Campaign. All right, and even if you want to just put a multiplayer to multiplayer, that's still 7 game modes at launch, plus Ground War, so 8 modes, as opposed to XDefiant's 5 game modes. All right, 5. You can count it on one fucking hand. 5 game modes, a ranked play that doesn't even matter for the next 20 days, and even after that, the only point of it is I'm the best at XDefiant. There's no, I mean, really, I don't know what they're going to add to make it any different. I don't think it's going to save the game, but you have 5 game modes, 1 ranked play that doesn't matter yet, and they just added a practice mode. Now, I give the practice mode the benefit of the doubt. It's pretty cool. I think that it's something that other games should add. It's very helpful. But to be honest with you, after the amount of development and the amount of teasers and everything I've seen from this game, 5 game modes is fucking pathetic. All right, it's a disappointment. It's sad. This game is really boring. Even if you watch the streamers out there who were super into this game and were hyping it up, they only made it like 4 or 5 days of streaming XDefiant back to back before they started going to other games because it's just so boring. It's so bad. They only made it like 5 hours into the stream. They start like yawning. They're losing viewers. Like there's just no reason to even watch this game until ranked play comes out. And even then, you're only watching because you like the streamer. There's no point in the game. There's really nothing in this game. And for 100% honesty here, I believe there's a reason that it's free because nobody would buy it if it was more than $0, in my opinion. So I think that objectively and opinionally, in round number 4, game modes and features, Call of Duty wins it hands down for replayability, for the fact that I don't get as bored as fast because there's only 5 fucking game modes. I can't even believe it. It just makes me mad even talking about it. So Call of Duty wins that round, and overall they are 3-1 in the lead heading into round number 5. And again, I'm mad at XDefiant. And lastly, for round number 5, we have progress and monetization. Now, I know that progress isn't necessarily the biggest aspect of an FPS game, but it is kind of a big thing when it comes to multiplayer shooters, just making you feel better about yourself, progressing, this matters, And I want to just point out that the last couple of years in Call of Duty, progression on ranking and weapons has felt hollow, because you only have to find the gun that has the best attachment, rank it up to that level, and then you just can put it on every other gun. So it just feels really hollow, whereas in XDefiant, the weapons have, 3 separate mastery camos with levels. You have to level up the weapon to get certain attachments on every single gun. It feels a lot better. It feels like more rewarding when you level up in XDefiant than in Call of Duty, in my opinion. So in the round 5 progression aspect anyway, I am going to have to just give it to XDefiant because, again, Call of Duty has just felt really hollow. Back in the old days of Call of Duty, like the original Modern Warfare 3, you would there'd be like sounds and things coming up on your screen. You'd be like, oh my God, I leveled up. Hell yeah, bro. I'm 1 level closer to max prestige. Like you'd feel it, but I don't feel it anymore. So I'd have to give round 5 progression to XDefiant, but I hope that Call of Duty can fix that in the future. Then we have monetization in round 5. Now, we're going to talk about like the microtransactions and, the predatory actions that these companies have been taking in the last couple of years to really squeeze as much money as they can out of these games. That's what we're going to be really taking a look at. And XDefiant doesn't have a ton of bundles yet, but they're also already in motion to start these predatory actions. And what I mean by that is there's only 6 menus in the start, the play menu, loadout, battle pass, settings. There's only 6 menus, and 3 of them have things that want you to buy stuff on them. So 50% of the screens that you can even look at are asking you to purchase stuff from them already. So even though they don't have a ton compared to Call of Duty, I mean, Call of Duty has like almost $1,000 in bundles in their shop at all times, like just a fucking ridiculous amount of garbage in that shit. It makes me sick. It makes me fucking sick. But XDefiant looks like it could possibly be going in that direction. since there isn't that many bundles or microtransactions yet, I do have to give round 5 in total to XDefiant, because Call of Duty is just so predatory. It's just not even funny, and I don't like how Call of Duty has been acting in the last couple of years with these skins and the microtransactions and $20, $30, $70. Like, it's crazy. The game costs that much. So round 5 goes to XDefiant, and that means that, in my personal opinion, the winner of XDefiant versus Call of Duty is Call of Duty, 3-2 overall. Now, again, these are all just my opinions. You can 100% have a different opinion. I personally think a lot of the people out there who think XDefiant is better than COD just simply have like hate goggles on, and they're just like, fuck Call of Duty, fuck Call of Duty, XDefiant's amazing just because, You know, I really do think that that's the case, but in my personal opinion, objectively, I think that Call of Duty is the better game. So I think they're the overall winner. You know, their $70 is compared to 2.5 years of development free with 5 game modes. You know, I'm not saying that Call of Duty has been fantastic the last couple of years by any means. They are definitely needing to improve on Black Ops 6. And from what I can see, they are improving on Black Ops 6, but we're going to have to check that out when they do the Xbox Direct coming up here. But anyway, again, these are my opinions, so you can have a completely different opinion. I'm not going to get upset if you get in the comments and say that you think XDefiant is better, but in my opinion, Call of Duty wins the XDefiant versus Call of Duty game comparison, in my personal opinion. So that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys like, subscribe, comment what your opinion is down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.